See, because on these you can go deeper. The deeper you go, the harder it is. And like the key thing, the key difference is with you, you're so strong. I mean, your angle's like this. You know what I mean?
It's already a bit.
You're already in. And you just stay in a pushing angle, which is crazy strong. It's because you're so strong. But ideally, you know, you'd almost stand straight in the handstand, push back straight. You'd get so much more reps. But you're so strong that your body just naturally holds in that angled position.
I got at least 3. Let's try that.
That one is just a little too deep. Because if the floor was up even with it, your head would have been past the floor.
Yeah. So I can just work on short jacket. Since I'm right here.
I'm going too low, right?
Well, it's a sweet spot. You can go lower.
It's harder to push.
Harder. So it's about finding a spot where you can pick your feet up while still not dipping so low that you can't press.
Is it better to start off in that position or start off like that?
Depends on what you're trying to do.
Did you do a kick up?
Yeah.
I started off like
so
straight up.
You're trying to handstand push up. He's trying to pike press into a handstand.
Oh, okay.
So like the difference would be like on ground, you know, pike press start here and then pick up, and then you're doing, you know, handstand push-ups like that. And so just different movements, accomplishing relatively the same thing, but different learned abilities.
Yes, sir.
Word. Yeah. Well, same thing. You were in a really good spot. You have to dip low to get your feet up. That's what's happening. But when you dip low, it's harder to press out. So it's literally just getting a timing of how low can I go where I can still press while picking up my feet. And if you time it properly, it'll kind of happen in one natural motion. So like if we're here, you can just kind of.
Oh, so while my feet is coming up, I'm also pushing.
There's a sweet spot with your hips, but yes, as you're, like that's the big thing with the 90 presses. When you go to push back up, it's a timing game. When your hips get to a turning point, you want to press with that momentum. Because if you mistime it and your hips go up too hard, you'll fall over or you'll fall down to compensate, to hold in the position, and you won't be able to press back up. If your hips don't go up enough and you start pressing, you're just going to press out and fall back down that way. So it's literally just a timing of as my hips get to, you know, this position, I'm pushing as I kick up, all in one motion. And the smoother that motion, the more reps you do, the smoother it's mind muscle. Like it'll
Easier it becomes.
That takes practice too.
Hot bail of hands.
I got this.
Yeah, easy. Just pike, lift those feet up, get up. Solid. Got it. I mean, like I said, you're so strong. And see, for you, I can tell it's like a technique thing. What you're used to is staying here at a lower end because you're so strong. You can support it. So when you're trying to press and like stack, it's always falling that way. You're just not used to that. Oh. I like the wood.
They real wood in that.
Right. See, and like that's where your training gets so interesting, right? Good, Keno. That was it. Yeah. So much smoother.
But I couldn't control it at the top.
Well, it's practice. But that's so much better than getting stuck down low.
Yeah.
Every time you break out of that position, it's mind muscle, trained in there.
I can't complain.
I'll tell you right now too, this low angle looks really sick.
That's good.
Yeah.
Hold my legs a little bit. Like give me a spot
Absolutely.
to where I know where I need to be at. Get comfortable.
Yeah.
You good?
Yep.
Oh.
It's close.
Why am I leaning over?
Well, so right there, it was actually, your positioning was almost too good.
Yes.
It's too straight. So like when you press down, you were so straight, which is amazing, but it's harder, much harder.
He at an angle.
So when you come, you're here, which was great. You caught with the right cue, kind of, and then when you come down, drop those legs a little. Then when you press back up, you just, it's almost like that a C motion.
Drop the leg or drop the hip?
So I guess I'll show you. It might be easier, but like when you get up, you're here. When you go to press, drop down, and then I'm gonna lose it. But when you press back up out of that position, it's back to straight. But if you go too straight, you're just gonna fall forward.
Yeah.
So it's a balance thing. It's like you don't want to be here, and you don't want to be here. You want to be start like here, down, back up to here. You just don't ever. You got a range of like this much. That's where you want to stay. It's finding your own personal range too, because it might look completely different than mine.
So just a slight tilt.
Well, so depends. I do better in a straighter position. I'm better in a handstand when I'm stacked. He does better when he's here like this, because he's so much stronger than me in this position. But in terms of doing like handstand push-ups, especially with the parallettes, you just want to find your little range and you'll rep those out no problem.
All right, guys, so I wanted to take this time to really explain exactly what we were trying to accomplish and work on here, as this was kind of an in-depth training thing and we were talking about a lot of different things. But the biggest takeaways in your handstand and pressing movements is, specifically with the handstand, is just center of mass and center of gravity has to be stacked. Your hips, your wrists, and your shoulders must all be in line so that you're perfectly stacked in the position. There was a lot of form discrepancies throughout this video and some that I didn't even do that great of a job of correcting. With Musa, what you just saw right there in particular, he is so anteriorly strong and dominant that he doesn't actually open up enough in his shoulders to actually get into a proper position for the handstand. It's very limiting and it's not exactly what you want. Same thing with the pike push-ups. You really want to be able to get into a more stacked position. You do that by pushing your head through your arms to where your shoulders are pretty much at your ears.
No problem. Because I get all the way up there and I'm either going forward or falling back down.
You hold freestanding handstand?
Yeah.
So
Well, I could last year.
yeah. It's probably one of those things you could definitely practice a little bit, but I think everybody's different. Your sweet spot's just small. You got a little bit of range of motion where you'd be perfect, and you're right there. But it's just hard because you can fall out of line either way. I was better.
It's all good.
I was better.
But I keep falling back down.
Yeah. No, it's tough. But yeah, you definitely do. It's hard to do the floating pikes too. So same thing you were doing. I'd rep those out where you go. But it's all like, it's all stacking. And you control your stacking through your palms and fingertips.